Exposing English language learners only to the forms they are taught is neither feasible nor necessary nowadays. First, let us remind why it is unachievable. The mobile and other electronic devices are omnipresent today, and a lot of informal and non-formal learning constantly goes through them, as anyone can watch movies, programs, adverts, listen to music, and play games in the target language. It is not easy to say if the outside world, including electronic media, mass culture, environment, or the classroom, contributes more to successful English language learning. In addition, travel is so easy nowadays, so lots of people can communicate with target language speakers face to face. It is certain, though, the outside world plays a significant role and access to it cannot be restricted. Second, besides unfeasible, the monopoly of the classroom teacher on the learning content and mode is not only necessary, actually trials to impose it would be highly counterproductive. Similarly to the king met by the little prince on one of the planets he visited, the educational professionals should only require from their students what the latter themselves need and want, and it strongly depends on the technological and social development of the times they live in. Historically, centuries ago, teachers were the main and nearly mere source of information and knowledge. They were the educational stars. Then, the school and classroom became the best format to learn and socialize, and the institution was the star. Nowadays, the locus of control has gone back to the individual learners and into or out to their social environment and community. Meanwhile, the democratic education pioneer Jakub Hecht has currently been trying to develop learning cities turned into learning venues. Maybe even this concept is outdated, as it is still institution-centered and implies the same pyramidal paradigm that Hecht himself renounces. Being learner-centered means learner is like the sun for the educational system, and everything circles around them. Any form and method is born or created for the sake of the learner and is worth existing until the learner needs it. In the light of above mentioned, the metaphor of opening the classroom door seems outmoded. The forms and methods of learning should be shaped in accordance with the needs of the learner, which has surmounted the boundaries of classroom and school at least for decades. The same also applies to the educational professions, respectively professionals, in terms of function and form, keeping in mind that the roles of the educational professionals are constantly changing. We can only list some we found necessary at the moment. Language learner advisor, language actor, language networking mediator, language learning content developer of stories, games, exercises in different forms but mainly electronic, language learning trainer or interlocutor, language learning travel agent. An educational generalist, similar to the medical GP, may combine some or all of those roles while still being called teacher. Even if keeping within the old teaching learning at school paradigm, we the proponents of the so-called direct or natural method of learning set by François Gouin and furthered by Georgi Ulzanov, Stephen Krashen, etc., will disagree that language learners should only be exposed to the forms they are taught. The diffused mode of learning, the acquisition, envisages a real situational language practice where learners cannot be restricted to the forms taught. The same is also valid while pairing two ideas similarly to the topic of this project. The latter could be approached in the traditional way, when the learner says yes or no and more or less reproduces the lesson content, sticking with the thought. Alternatively, they can focus on the meaning and ideas and go away from the recent learning content and forms. Why not even questioning the task and the way it has been put forward? The former approach is drilling, supposed to prepare for real life, while the latter is the real life itself.
Created using Powtoon.